What does unstoppable actually mean to you?
A few things: confidence, clarity, and respect towards yourself. Unstoppable definitely is respect towards yourself. Give yourself that credit and that respect that you can do it, because being unstoppable is not just going to happen. You have to have faith that it can and that you can be that.
Well, my guest today is Marms Hope. Now, this lady has lived in more countries than most of us go and visit on holidays, but she's back here in Dubai. And so I brought her in the studio today because she has a very interesting story. And I want to start by asking you a question. Straight away, we're going back a little while. You do have a good story here, so I'm going to take you back a little bit
Okay.
to the time where your ex-husband, he comes home from work and he says to you, he asks for a divorce because you're not the independent woman that he once met.
Yes.
What was going through your mind and what happened in that moment?
That exact moment I can recall like it was yesterday. I was like, thank God. Honestly, it was one of the biggest reliefs I felt in my life. Looking back at that story, I had quite an abusive marriage. Not as much physical, it was physical too, but it was more emotional abuse and psychological abuse. And for the period of time that I was married with him, it was really, really tough breaking out of it. He was very much a narcissist, and it was that controlling element of being in a marriage where you just couldn't break free. When I met him, I was very independent. I've always been quite an independent person. I like having a purpose. I like doing my own thing, but at the same time, taking care of the people around me that I love. And when I met him, that was taken advantage of to the next
Mm.
degree. And it left me in a position where I was completely a shell of a person. Like, I just wasn't the person I used to be. I was always at his beck and call. I was always doing everything. And apart from that, it was also the emotional breakdown that I used to feel or used to get. Everything was always my fault. And yeah, that's the little journey that I went through with that. So when he said to me, "Oh, I want a divorce," I couldn't say yes quick enough. But at that same time, when I said yes quick enough, it got back, like it bounced back at me. And he was like, "Oh, so you're not even fighting for our marriage?" So it was like, at that moment when he said that, I knew that I was just going to go into another repetitive circle of abuse and all that. So I took that moment and stepped out.
But you haven't always been the lady that has gone and said yes and, jumped at opportunities and chances. So if we go back a little while, go back to maybe your childhood and tell me where Marms comes from, the values that you hold today. Where do they all stem from? And who was she back in the early years?
Okay, so when I was little, I my mum passed away when I was very, very like very, very young. I was 6 years old. She committed suicide. So I immediately, as a child, had to just fend for myself because I didn't have that backup of, hey, my mum is there. My dad and my mum were divorced when I was 6 months old. So at that stage, also didn't grow up with my dad physically in the house. So I bounced around quite a lot when it came to my mum. She had quite a lot of relationships and stuff like that. And I just had to learn to just do things myself. So that independency started from a very, very young age. When she passed, I went to live with grandparents, and thereafter, my dad took custody of me, and he was already married with two other children. And I was just the outsider in the family, really. And I always had to just make do of myself, teach myself, cook for myself sometimes at the best of times. And I think that's where my independency and my courage and my way of coping has grown into me being the person that I am today, obviously with a lot of journeys along the way, also supporting that, or not supporting that, but emphasizing that. And I think where I come back, and if I look back at my values are kindness, honesty, respect, organization, or not organization, structure, because I came from a very broken childhood. So I need that stability in my life. And I think this is also that turns back into probably why I traveled so much, is because I needed to find a place where I actually belonged. And my values stand very firm when it comes to being honest with people. Like, have to be honest with people all the time. I can't live a lie. I love having structure. I love having a way to focus on something that I can achieve and make sure that I do achieve it, because if there's no structure, you wobble off all over the place. So I think that is what basically molded me to become who I am today.
So let's go back a little bit. You're a young girl and your mother takes her own life.
Yeah.
How does how did you feel when that happened? And how do you get past something like that?
I don't believe you ever get past something like that. I don't think anyone, if you do, you're probably a psychopath. But I don't think you can physically get past that. You can find a way to cope with it. But at that moment, I remember, again, I remember it so clearly, and it might be a bit muddled up because it was so tiny. Remember, it was on one of her birthdays, and I can't remember which birthday it was. And I was sat at my aunt's house, her sister, and playing along with my cousins, and my grandparents came through the door. And they broke the news to my aunt that this has happened. And I remember crying, but I don't know if I really understood what was happening. I think I was just crying because, yeah, I'm a child, like, mummy.
Yeah.
And the immediate thing that I did was I said to my grandpa, I want to sit in front of the telly on his lap and watch the news. Because in my head, I thought my mum's going to be on the news because bad things happen on the news, right? And yeah, from there, I think I just day to day, I just lived with my mum not being there. I had my dad there, but we didn't really have a good relationship, and my stepmom and all that. So there's always been that missing element of thinking, what if my mum was here? Who would I be today if she raised me? Who would I be today, and what would she think of me and the woman I've become today?
And who was your mum? Tell me about her.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember everything about her, but I think we were very similar. She was this bubbly, outgoing, very skinny woman. I don't know how she stayed this skinny after a child, but she was very fun. Like, from what I remember, and I read a couple of her journals and stuff, and she was caring. She was in the police force, so she was a police woman back then. And yes, from what I can tell, she was just this radiant personality that people love having in the room. And I see that a lot in myself because I have a very bubbly personality in that sense, or I hope I do. If I don't, please let me
You
know.
are. You're bubbling.
So that's who she was.
Yeah.
And she was very extrovert, outgoing, but she did have her demons too. She did have darkness, and she did have her own insecurities. So I think, yeah, that's who she was.
So you get the news, you're at your auntie's place, and then I guess it's from that moment you go home with your dad, and your dad meets a new partner and starts a new family. And what's the arrangement there, and how are you treated in that sort of family dynamic?
That was tough because my dad was divorced from my mum for quite a while. And then when she passed, I lived with my grandparents, her parents, for a little while too, before I went to live with my dad. So I'm not sure about what the dynamics were there, if he wanted me to come live there or not. But when I did eventually move in and go live with my dad and the stepmom, and at that stage it was just one brother.
And how old are you at this age?
I'm 6.
6.
Yeah, 6 going on 7, because it was a few months before I moved in. And yeah, it was, I don't remember much. I think there's still a lot of trauma hidden there that I blocked out and all that. But from what I remember just growing up, it was a very lonely journey for me. I never ever felt like I was part of the family. I can take an example. I walked into the living room where we were sitting and watching television, and my dad wasn't in there. Or he was in there, sorry. Everyone was sat there, and I walked in to sit down and watch television with them. And his comment was, "Does everyone have to be in here?" And he got up and he walked out. I will never ever forget that day, because for me, that day confirmed to me that there was something broken with either my relationship with my dad or with my dad. It wasn't me.
Do you feel that maybe he was taking things out on you, feelings that he potentially had, with your mum?
I think so. I think the fact that I look like my mum probably played a very, very big factor in that sense. Maybe some guilt of the fact that he abandoned his family back in the day or whatever. But I think also there is an element of, you have to obviously look at the whole picture as a whole and be like, okay, maybe that was his clean break. He didn't think he had to be stuck with a child again. That reminds him of his ex-marriage. Maybe that's that.
But of course, that's not going through your mind when you're 6 or 7 years old either,
Nope.
nor should it be. It's not, that's not your responsibility to think like that.
Exactly.
That's on him.
Exactly. And I think I was treated very unfairly during the whole course of my upbringing in that sense. But it's been lonely.
When do you think you realised, though, that you weren't the actual problem in that family dynamic?
Oh goodness, this is probably one of the toughest things. I think so. My dad abused me sexually. That was the day I knew that it wasn't me. I I was broken. I knew that was wrong, and I literally ran away the day that it happened from home. And they begged me to come back, my stepmom and all that. I ran to a friend's house and they begged me to come back. And my stepmom listened to what I had to say. She confronted my dad, and I said, before I come home, I need to know that he's admitted it to her. And he denied it. He denied it all along. So that whole time of my teen years, I lived with the fact and that fear of that happening again, because no one believes me what I said. And if it was that easy for her to not believe me and believe him that it didn't happen, who says he can't get away with it again and couldn't do worse? I mean, I don't know what worse could be, but yeah, that's how it felt at that moment. It was that's when I realized that it wasn't me. It's not me at all. I walked away from that. And up until this day, my dad and I don't speak.
So once he denied it, you were able to leave the house again and get yourself into a safer environment?
No, I had to stay in the house for another year. But I left home the day I finished my grade 10 or grade 12, my matric year, as we call it in South Africa.
So for that year then, what was the dynamics in the household at that point and your relationship with your dad in an unsafe?
It was a very unsafe, very, very unsafe relationship. I tried to just seclude myself quite a lot, be around my stepmom quite a lot, be around my brothers quite a lot at that stage. Try to just not be in a room where he is. I would escape the room this time. It wasn't the other way around. But there was a very, very awkward vibe in the house across my stepmom, my dad, and I'm sure the boys picked that up too.
Did he stop in that last year?
Yes.
There was no more encounters?
No, because
I'm sorry that you went through that. That's terrible, Marms. It's awful. But it's made you the beautiful, strong woman that your mum would be proud of today.
Thank you.
That I am sure of. Now, do you think, I've read your story and you said you got quite young. You said you got married quite young. I think you were 19. What led you to getting married so young? Do you think?
I was a little older than 19.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was.
Fill me in.
No, okay.
Tell me that. Tell me.
So I got married when I moved to Dubai the first time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes,
was
yes.
in my. I literally think I just turned 30.
Oh, you were 30?
Yeah.
Don't look even old enough to be 30 now. Goodness me.
Thank you, Laurie.
Stop it.
Stop it. That's the thing. No, so I got married when I moved to Dubai the first time. a year and a half, 2 years on from that. Yeah, got married to my ex-husband.
Okay.
And yeah, it was probably not the best decision I made in my life. I did have warning signs all across banners and across billboards, and people warning me. But at that stage, I was blind to the whole situation that was unfolding in front of me with my ex-husband, and I did it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life.
Who was Marms then compared to now?
Oh my goodness. Well, Mom's was much younger then
Yeah.
and not as wise as she is today. I think my journey after that obviously has shaped me to be who I am today. But back then, I was this very broken human still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't had my therapy and talked about my issues and my daddy issues and everything else that I was dealing with. And I think that is also what related back to why in my relationships, and especially my ex-husband, I was probably looking for that father figure everywhere I went.
Yep.
But yeah, back in the day then, I was like, I came to Dubai from a very small town in South Africa, and to the glitz and the glam, and everything is just woo, like amazing. It's
Fast and
fast and it's like
furious.
all glamour and all that. So I was very starstruck with Dubai back then. And yeah, I just took full advantage of the city, to be honest. But career-wise, I was in a personal assistant slash an executive assistant position with a marketing and advertising agency out here, a very big one. Always committed to what I did. That's one thing that I can say is I've never ever failed my work in any situation that I found myself. No matter where I was mentally or physically, I would always show up for work. That was my pride. That's how I was raised. That is how the culture is back home, is like, if you don't work or if you don't go for what you want and need, you're not going to get it.
Now, I've got a gap just here, so just take me back a little bit. Who brought you up after you left your father's home? Because you said, you've got these values that have
Yes.
instilled you to be, committed in any sort of work. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming that didn't come from your father. So who gave you those sorts of values and that?
So those values came from myself, I think, quite a lot, and also just from my culture. South African people are known for working well and working hard and we're quite what is the word? We're frontier people. So we love going out there and making things work for ourselves because we don't come from easy times.
Yep.
Never have. And I think that is just part of my DNA and part of my foundation that I was built on. And my upbringing too is like, I always saw my dad work. I saw my mum work. My stepmom worked for a little bit and all that. But I think in general, my granddad, he worked until he was 80. Like, it's things that you look back and you're like, I must be getting it from family somewhere. But at the same time, I think because I had to become independent quite quickly, I had to just work. I had to just make it work, because if I didn't do that, I had to go back home. And I didn't want to do that because I didn't know what was waiting for me back there.
So you've become this independent woman. But now let's go back to the moment your ex-husband comes home from work and he says, I want a divorce because you're not the independent woman that I first met.
Yeah.
So how did we get there?
The journey, I think, was, as I just said, the part where I was looking for a father figure.
Yeah.
I think I broke myself so down of thinking I'm not worthy.
Did he add to that?
Yes, 100%. In every moment that he could put me down,
Yeah.
easier word.
Yeah. Could spell
Much
that
easier
one.
word. You can spell that one. Yeah, every time he could put me down, he did. And I think he chipped away at my personality, at my independency and everything there. I wasn't allowed to work. I was physically and literally locked in a house in the middle of Malaysia at that stage, and in England, two places we lived after Dubai, where I literally was a glorified dog sitter. So Laurie, how you love cats?
Yeah.
I love dogs. And I looked after his dog. The only place I could take her out for a walk was out in the garden. I couldn't go out anywhere. Didn't have money, didn't have anything. I was cut off from everything.
You weren't allowed to work.
No, he didn't want me to work. He said I didn't need to work, although I did. Financially, we were not in the best place because he spent his money on other things, other entertaining other ladies in that sense. That's who he was. And I think all of that made me feel less worthy because I always looked inward. And that's the first place you start, right? Is you look at, what have I done wrong? Who am I? What am I doing wrong? What can I do to be better?
Yep.
And yeah, I think that chipped away at my soul really, and becoming this dependent woman at that stage because I had nothing and nowhere to go.
So he comes home and says, I want a divorce, and you sit there and you think,
what next?
This is my out. This is my golden ticket.
Yeah, I literally, I can't tell you how happy I was when he said that to me. Although he did blame it on me. At that stage, he told me as I was the reason. I was like, okay, I'll take that. If this is going to get me out, I'll take anything right now.
So how did you think you would survive? Because you're sitting in a situation where you're very dependent. You're not earning your own money necessarily. You're stuck in a different country. At this point, Malaysia. Mm-hmm. He says, I want a divorce. And you're like, oh my gosh, thank you. Yes, me too. How do you get out of there? And what gave you the courage to walk away?
That was the first thing that I worried about. But I said to myself, you've done it before. You left South Africa with what I think it was like $500 to my name and moved to Dubai with no job, nowhere to live. Just did it. And I'm a bit of a dreamer in that sense. I always think the most unachievable things are achievable, and I try to prove myself that I can achieve it. So I like doing that.
So why didn't you think about that in this awful relationship? Go, you know what, I need to leave because I can do this.
Oh my goodness, because you know, when you're stuck in emotions and relationships, right? And especially with a narcissist, and you can't see outside of the situation, you can't take your soul out of it and look in. It's really, really tough. You get stuck in this loop, and I can now recognize it. I look back and I look at other people that are stuck in those situations, and I'm like, get yourself out of there. And they don't listen, but I understand why, because there are emotions involved. We all have that fear when it comes to our emotions. And I still find myself in those positions sometimes in narcissistic kind of environments or relationships that I find myself in with friends. But I'm now wise to it, that I'm like, I recognize it very quickly, and I slowly just
creep
out. I'm like, okay, maybe I won't see you again or go for a coffee anymore or something like that. So if you don't see me again,
it's your child. What do you mean?
Yeah. So that is where you find yourself, is when there are emotions involved. It's a very different ball game. And if you've never been exposed to that or come to that realization, you can't get out of it. But when I did, I said to myself, okay, who can help me? I looked at the people around me, and I had very, very close friends that have been friends for many years. And I said, I really want to get out of this. They are very keen to get me out of this too. And a friend of mine said they would loan me some money, and I can go live somewhere for a month to figure out my life, because I had to just take a breather from what I was going through. And I went to Thailand for a month, stuck in a room for 2 weeks that I just couldn't leave the bed because I was just this heartbroken soul of a soulless person, getting messages from all over the world telling me what an absolute chaotic man that was, and things that he's done and stuff that I didn't see. And that made me realize, and that almost built up this fire in me to become better. And one day I got up and I was like, right, we're going to the beach today. And I went to the beach, and that was it.
And a new Marms was born.
A new Marms was born on the beach.
And what were your dreams at that moment?
I want to go to Singapore. So Singapore at that stage was, I went there for a long weekend for Chinese New Year, and I was like, oh, Singapore was amazing, seeing Marina Bay Sands and everything. I was like, oh, I want to live there. And I went to live there.
So you're attracted to the glam a little bit, aren't you?
I'm a little bit of a sucker. Love pretty shoes.
Yes,
I
pretty
love
shoes. I was
love
going to say
nice
that.
restaurants. Yeah, and my poor husband. He's probably like money pop. Yeah, so I moved to Singapore then and no job again.
So we've got no job, no necessary idea on what's next,
No.
just that Singapore's the next place.
Yes, and then I went to stay with someone that I knew there for a little while, just literally for a week or so, and then I got a job in a recruiting agency in marketing and advertising, and this guy saved me. I was like, oh, like that. Oh,
The
he was basically that aura
guardian
around him with that
angel. Yeah.
light, and I was like,
Yeah.
thank you, and I took that opportunity, but I was so broken still at that stage that I couldn't see where am I going next. Like I was running blindly and going out and drinking and partying and all that. So I was living very recklessly at that stage because I was locked up in this relationship and this home and this not being able to be free for, I think it was 4 or 5 years, that I was this rebel just breaking out.
You can't suddenly feel invincible a little bit because you've been, held down, and now suddenly, what's the worst that can happen? I get stuck
Exactly.
in a bad relationship and look after the dog again. I feel like you've already hit that rock bottom
Yeah.
part, so now you're feeling a little bit more.
Yeah.
The wild child has come out to play.
And she can be wild. So
And what
yes.
what tamed her down then?
So what tamed her down was I met my husband through some friends, my now husband and forever husband,
Yes.
through some friends, and he was going through his own journey back then. He went through a lot of hard times, going through a divorce and all that too. We started off as friends and started to hang out together and all that. And when his divorce was through and all that, we started to spend more time together, and we just really enjoyed each other's company. And he brought a sense of calm to me,
Mm-hmm.
a sense of security, because he was going through a transition phase himself. He lost like 75 kgs and he stopped drinking and he stopped smoking and all these types of things. So that was very attractive to me, just seeing this person transform into someone so much greater than what he was destined to be, if you know what I mean. It sounds very awkward to say that, but that's what it looked like. And he became this amazing human, not that he wasn't. And I found that very attractive, and that brought me back down to earth. I had to have him as a support in my life to get me through my journey
Mm-hmm.
of transforming and going through therapy and going through the break and going through everything that was killing me inside to become who I am today. And here I am, 2 years sober. I've not touched alcohol for 2 years, which I'm like, yay. But not because of him, because of me. Because I look back at it and I'm like, I did this because of me. Because I made a decision to change who I was at that stage.
Mm-hmm.
I made a decision to take whatever broke me and have that fix me. And yeah, and today I'm sitting here a better version of myself that I could have ever imagined to be.
And it all stemmed from really surrounding yourself with people that make you the best version of yourself, which I think is absolutely paramount.
Yeah, and supports you, like
Yeah.
the support element, because it didn't have that when I was a kid, didn't have that growing up, didn't have that through my teenage and my early adult years. But then once I have that structure, and that's again going back to systems and structure, right? It's like, and this is why I do what I do so well, is because that is what my foundation was built on. I had to create that in order to survive.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have probably gone down a path that my mom went down and didn't
It's
want
like
to do that.
it's coming to that crossroad, isn't it? It's like, do I go left or do I go right? And
Yeah.
you've chosen obviously the greener path.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
So was Singapore all rosy?
Well,
Well, wait.
what a loaded question. Right. So Singapore was great when I moved there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that didn't last long because COVID happened. And that was all doom and gloom.
So it lost the glam.
It lost the glam
Right.
instantly, overnight,
Yes.
literally looking at PM Lee on the telly, and he was just like, right, no, mask on, you're not going anywhere, stay in your house. That had to happen. So when that announcement happened, my husband moved in. We were literally just in the start of a relationship then. And he moved in with me into a shared apartment with other people, another Australian guy too, which is now our adopted child, basically.
Oh, nice.
Really, really great guy.
We love the Aussies,
Yeah,
don't we?
they are great. And we lived in a room. It was probably the toughest 2 years that we ever went through in the start of our relationship,
Hmm.
which again built the foundation of our relationship, and it made us who we are today. We can conquer everything together.
Hmm.
And yeah, after that, we COVID obviously lifted, the restrictions lifted and all that. Got back to work. I was let go from the other company, the recruitment agency. Went to work for a crypto brokerage where I was COO, or worked myself up to COO. And that had its own challenges there and all that. So it wasn't all rosy. It was very, very tough. I worked 22-hour days at the best of it, and it was just a broken system. And that's when, yeah, after 4 years, we decided to just move away because life there wasn't as rosy as we wanted.
So working extremely crazy hours, 20, 22 hours a day, most people would quit if that's, the expectation of a job. What kept you standing through that?
I had to. Again, going back to those foundations, right? I work for a living, and I live to work and work to live. And I love doing what I do, and I love doing it well. I love serving people. I think that is my calling, is to serve others, and gifting, obviously, which can't believe I left your gift at home, honestly. But serving people and making things better, making things easier for people.
Do you think you're maybe trying to prove yourself to someone? If we go back in time a little bit,
Oh, goodness.
prove that you're worthy?
I've seen that question come up along the way for so many people, and it has made me think. I literally saw it earlier this week, and I think I do. But to who? I don't know. I think the only person, if you have to look at it realistically, I have to prove anything to is myself. But do I really? Do I have to prove anything? Like, I don't think I do, because I think I've proven myself. I think I've proven my values and who I am and what I can do and what I can overcome. My resilience has been tested a lot, that's for sure. But maybe I should just stop proving things.
I mean, I feel like sometimes we all do it, right?
Yeah.
Because we people pleasers of some sort. But when I think go back to, when you were a child and your dad wasn't accepting of you, or the family wasn't accepting of you, and it just made me think, is it, ingrained in you that you're trying to say, I am worthy, and so now you've instilled this value
Yeah.
to be determined and to work hard and have those really good work ethics. It's not just because you're South African. It was because you maybe never felt good enough previously. And that's just what I was sitting here thinking. I wonder if that's
Well,
what it is.
thank you, therapy.
Yeah.
Therapist Laurie.
I won't charge you for that one either. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That does hit a bit home. It hits very close to home for me, actually. If I look back at it now, and as you say it out loud, and sometimes voicing these things make you realize that, right? It's, yeah, 100%. If I look back at that, totally. I was trying to seek that approval from people the whole time, which means if you want approval, you need to prove it, right? Respect doesn't come from out of the air. You don't just get it. You have to prove it. And I think I owe myself a little bit of respect in that sense of stop proving yourself to people. You are worthy. And
Yeah.
I do this all the time. My husband still says to me, is like, come on, you can do it. Like, give yourself some credit. Like, I don't credit myself very easily. I destruct myself, put myself through self-destruction first before I actually accept who I am or what I can do.
What do you think it would take for you to sit back and think, I am successful, I am enough?
Well, except someone feeding me grapes and and waving
the
a palm
fans.
fan at me. Wow. Oh goodness, that is probably one of the toughest questions. I don't know what success looks like right now. I have not figured that out. I don't know what I want it to be. But what I do know is that I probably will never ever be satisfied with what I have. I would always seek more and would always want to go and make it bigger and better. The only thing that I think and look back at right now, which is currently and probably for my future successful, is that I bagged a really, really good husband.
People.
And I'm so lucky to have amazing people in my corner. My husband, my in-laws, like both my in-laws, they are the most amazing people on earth. Like my mother-in-law is a priest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, didn't see that one coming,
Yeah.
but good. Even the friends that I've been making, especially out here over the past 5 months living here, and I can't believe it's been 5 months, is people that are really supporting me and with me on my journey and seeing me grow and helping me grow and inspiring me to become better. That is my success right now.
I was going to say, it sounds like success to me.
Yeah.
Bagging a good husband, great family, in-laws, you've got new friends, you've got, a whole new journey ahead of you. You've started a couple of new businesses.
Yes.
You really are thriving. But let's go back a little bit.
Oh.
Because we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. The pandemic has hit. There's 2 people in one room. How long do you stay there for?
Oh, we were in that room for about a year of the pandemic
Oh, that's a long time.
before we found a place online to move into when the restrictions were lifted to a degree that you could.
Mhm.
So we couldn't leave at all. Closest thing to leaving was going for a walk or a run, which also you had to do with your mask on at that stage.
Mhm.
It was quite brutal. But after that, we moved into our own place and we took our Aussie housemate with us.
Yep.
Because he was just like, get me out of here. I need some space.
The pseudo son,
And
adopted
oh,
son.
he's amazing. So we moved into our own place then, and yeah, that's where life started for us a little bit on our own building our relationship a little bit more freely.
Yeah.
And a year later, our adopted son, he was old enough to move out at the age of 20 something. And Mark and I had the house to ourselves, and we could physically and freely live there as a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so we've lived in South Africa, Dubai, England, Malaysia, Singapore, and then we come back to Dubai. What brought you to Dubai again? And you've only been here 5
We
months
went back to South Africa first.
as well.
Yeah,
Goodness me.
and London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
been a
a journey. It's been a journey. So we went to South Africa.
Yeah.
At the end of our Singapore journey, we were still working for someone in Singapore. Things went really wrong there. CEO hand cookie jar. You put the story together. We were due to go to a holiday in South Africa, and while we were there, our rent was due for renewal, and we were like, "It's nice living in South Africa when you're earning US dollars. Like, why not? It's better life." And we're like, weather's better. Weather's better in the sense of you get seasons. People are better. Let's stay. So we never went back. So we had friends pack up our home in Singapore. We gave our notice. All our stuff is still in storage in Singapore.
wow.
So Mark can't wait to get his records back because he loves his records. I can't wait to get my shoes and my handbags back and clothes and everything else that's there. And yeah, we lived in South Africa for a year and a half and went through some very tough times because that's when the parting ways with Singapore and that company happened. We worked for a minor shareholder of that company also who was based in Texas, so the hours didn't change. Then they stopped paying us for 3 months and we were like this one household income. And yeah, things just went down a really, really rocky road for us. And we started to dip into our savings and stuff, which we didn't really want to do. And a recruiter for my husband, he's been a recruiter in his life for many, many years and placed him in many places, said, "Hey, you want to come work for a hedge fund in London? Massive global hedge fund." He was like, it couldn't come at a better time. So we were going to London.
And that sounds exciting too.
Yes, I had a bit of phobia because I lived in England before and the weather does not do me well. I'm a sunshine girl.
So you like Australia?
I would probably love Australia, yeah. the sunny side of it, not the
Yes.
cold side of it.
Yeah.
And I know that cold weather brings me depression.
Hmm.
Like, I did go down a little bit of a rabbit hole there too. I
But you
didn't.
said that this time you were moving to London, but last time you lived in a small village,
In a
right?
small village outside of the small village, so it's even
Oh,
further away from a small village.
yeah.
But this one we lived center of London. Mark was very excited to show me London and what
Mm,
England is about, because obviously that's where he's from,
yeah.
and loved living in London. It was really, really great. It was a very different energy. It was very cultural, very historic. You could feel it was lived in. Um, and we lived in Notting Hill, which was amazing
Very
to
nice.
start with. So we lived on one of the main streets, and I lived across the road from Granger and Co., which was Australian. So Australia seems to,
We get around.
yeah, you
Yeah.
clearly do. So we lived in a really nice neighborhood, and that started to resonate with me very well, in the sense of it healed me, but it also healed my husband, and that was our little healing journey there. And while we lived there, I was freelancing and contracting, doing what I do today for other companies. And yeah, we lived there for 2 years. And the company was like, right, let's go to New York. And we're like already set to go to New York.
That
And
sounds kind of sexy too.
it does, especially after I visited New York a few months before that. And I was like,
Mm,
oh,
I love this
Sex
place.
in the
Sex in the
City.
City.
And I loved the energy there, and it was amazing, not knowing, or not knowing, but not realizing how brutal the winters are there. But I was like, oh, how bad can it be? So just before, literally a month before we were due to move to New York and visas were processed and everything, Dubai came up, and the company was like, right, Mark, we would probably need you more in Dubai, because then you can cover Asia, Europe, and the US. And he came to visit Dubai for not for the first time, but for this job for the first time for a long period of time, and I
Mm,
didn't come with him. And he called me up one afternoon or one evening when we were catching up, and he was like, babe, I think I can live here. Because he knows that I've always wanted to come back. I
mhm.
never actually wanted to leave Dubai. And I was like, right, let's do this. Call his boss. He was like, we're in. Literally a month later, I'm not kidding you not, 3.5 weeks later, we landed in Dubai, middle of summer. And that's where it all started,
And here you
really.
are.
Here I am, back with my soul reunited.
So, what's the difference between the woman that was here way back when to the woman that's arrived here 5 months ago?
Gosh, another loaded question, and very embarrassing one too, to be honest. Back then, I was from a small town in South Africa, never lived anywhere else but in that small town in South Africa. They call it a city, it's a bloody town. And I moved to this glitzy glamour place where, like, starstruck, and it's like all this amazingness. That time, it was like adventure.
Hmm.
Everything was like, yes, brunches and drinking and just doing
Excitement.
all the exciting stuff and going up the Burj Khalifa. And it was non-stop,
Yeah.
living my best life. This time around, I came back, and literally, as I came back, I thought, because I was so excited to come back here and show my husband what it is to live here, I thought the moment I'd land in Dubai, I'll get the sense of like, I'm back, baby. It wasn't. It was actually quite a damper, in the sense of I just fell back into place in a city where I just belonged. It didn't feel different. The only thing that felt different was my experience and who I was as a human. I've grown. I'm much more, what's the word? Much more
Evolve. Wiser.
evolved, wiser, yeah. Um,
Experience.
Experienced. There's another
All
word
the,
I can't
all the
remember.
words that we can spell.
All the words we can spell. And yeah, when we landed here, I just felt like I picked up where I left off when I left.
Hmm.
And but this time around, I was more sensible. Sensible was the word.
Hmm. And you're a woman,
And I'm a woman,
no,
yeah.
no longer a young girl.
I was much more sensible. I wasn't going down the road of going all crazy and the bright lights and all that. I've lived in across many cities now. I've gone through the whole expat life. I've everything
Mm.
been there. I've done that. This time I'm coming back with a vengeance, with a purpose, with now I'm going to do this.
What is your purpose?
My purpose is to structure the whole of the startup community. No, I'm just kidding. My purpose right now is to make a success of me.
Mm-hmm.
Take my journey and help others through their journey. Take my experience that I've gained over the past few years being across all these different cities and all these different life journeys and putting it into one streamlined structure system. And yeah, that's just helping founders.
You know, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on today is because you have lived everywhere, but you literally had to reinvent yourself every time you know, go to a new country. And we're talking countries. We're not talking about changing suburbs or moving up the road. You are having to reinvent yourself. You're having to learn, you know, the new ways, the laws, and all those sorts of things. But on top of all of that, you've been knocked down so many times, and it's extremely impressive that you just can get back up again. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's absolutely not. But you've done that, and I want to really show and share with people when you say you're here to, you know, serve others. And I want your story out there, because to let others know that may be in similar circumstances, that they too can do that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your business here, though.
Right.
What do you do?
So Marms Hope.
Marms Hope is the business.
Marms Hope is the business. I help founders and startups scale through systems and processes.
Because you're so structured and organized, which
Exactly.
we know. Yep.
Exactly. I just took, when I was in London, if I just quickly go back to that, is I sat there and I was looking at what I was doing for everyone else. And I was like, I'm missing a trick here. Like, why am I doing this for everyone else on their business levels? And I'm like sitting in the back, not getting any credit. I'm going to just do it on my own. I'm going to be that person doing it for people and this is a new book for me, right? Like coming in, just taking over Dubai and setting some structure in place and being the front and the forefront and the face of Marms Hope, showing people what I'm capable of and highlighting my skill, which is structuring. Why not do it through a business? So I started it as a systemized business where I take startups and I take them through my process, my Marms method, if you may call it, of doing an audit with looking at where they currently are, looking at what strategy can we put in place in order to help them scale and helping them implement that. So taking them through that phase. And another idea out of that was born and listening to people. So I network quite a lot. And I heard people being overwhelmed and not being able to get things done. And they've got like all these tasks and they just don't know where to go. And I started a VA service. And I promise you, the first day it launched, I had clients before I launched it. It's unstoppable at the moment. And I was like, it's affordable for startups and new founders in order to be able to use people to just take that load off, right? And that's all I feel like my purpose is right now, is taking the load off people. Because being a founder myself, I feel the load. I honestly do. And especially over the past, since summer has come and gone, I can see what people are talking about. But what's helping me is the fact that I have a system. I have a structure and I have a good process that I'm following in order to make it easier for myself. And that's what I want to put out there for people, is to show them, yes, you can still do everything that you want to do. You can scale at the pace you want to scale. You can be the woman you want to be. But there's nothing wrong with asking for a little bit of help, because it makes the world of a difference.
And then what actually gave you the courage to start it? Did you have any sort of imposter syndrome, or think, well, what if it doesn't work, or I get no customers, or this will probably take 5 years, or
yes,
moments?
I had that imposter syndrome every day of my life, all day of my life. Literally have to hone myself back in. And this is where my husband's a great support, and he just talks me down. He's like, like, he does that for me. He talks me down and he's like, look, he puts in front of me exactly what I do, which is weird. He's like, look at what you have.
Which is ironic, because you do that for other people.
Right? So weird. But sometimes you have to take yourself out of a situation and look from the outside in to realize what you're seeing, right? Or what you're doing.
And also, as a mentor, a business mentor, also
Yes.
that you're not emotionally attached to other people's businesses. So you see
Yes.
things clearly. And so that's
Yes.
probably what your husband's doing for you, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he's brutal when it comes to honest feedback, but that's what I need in life. I like
Yeah.
brutal feedback. So I have to bring myself back sometimes. But when I looked at my business when I started, I thought to myself, no one's going to buy into this. I mean, come on, it's me. And that is where I should give myself a little bit more credit is, yes, it's me. Yes, look at what you've done for other people. You've got the evidence. You've got the case studies. You've got everything to show and prove that you have done it before. Why is it so difficult? Or why do you think it's impossible this time? Just go and do it. Just talk about it. Just make it your own. It's just a different label. It's nothing different. So when my first client onboarded, I was just like, holy crap. I was intimidated a little bit. I was like, oh shit, how am I going to do this? But I just did it and I just put it together. And all I did was I took what I know and I put it onto a piece of paper. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, there we go. And I delivered it and the client was blown away. And I was like, okay, yeah, stop overcomplicating shit. Honestly, like stop overcomplicating your life.
And just start.
Exactly.
Have a
Right?
go. Have a go.
Say again.
And just have a go.
And just have a go. You
Back
just
yourself.
have to just do it. Like take that step forward. You have to walk before you have to crawl before you can walk. But you can't crawl if you just try, or walk if you don't just try. Just try it. You've got nothing to lose.
I always say, if that was your bestie, what advice would you give her? Right? And you would be, oh my God, Mums, you're amazing. You should so do this. You have run companies, you've done structures, rah, rah, rah. And it's one of the things that Lauren and I both talk about often is like, I would push her forward to be the best version of herself every single day. And I'd be right there behind her. If she fell, if she had a stumble, or if she wanted someone up on the podium with her, I would be there. And she would be the same for me. And so it's interesting that we'll always push our friends, but not ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think reminding yourself of that. And so this is a little tool that we do kind of on a monthly basis. And that's why we celebrate the wins and things as well, is to
Amazing.
remind yourself of all the good that you're doing, and if you like me and you listen to your entire story, you think back to the little girl, to Marms today. I mean, all the setbacks and the wins that she's gotten. I mean, we're all a work in progress though. And I get that. And confidence will keep building, and then we get shooken, and then we get back on, the horse again and things like that. So Mums, I'm going to move now to my little rapid fire section.
Let's do it.
Don't overthink it.
Can I have some water first?
Alrighty.
Let's do this.
What's one belief you had to unlearn to get where you are?
One belief to unlearn to get where I am. Stop hesitating. Like literally just stop hesitating. Just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it.
If you could tell 19-year-old Marms one thing, what is it?
Never drink. Or the other thing, like never drink because it gives you clarity.
And control.
And maybe just don't get married just because if you've seen the red flags, like, come on, don't be silly.
No rush.
Yeah.
What does unstoppable actually mean to you?
Well, a few things. Confidence, clarity, and respect towards yourself. Unstoppable definitely is respect towards yourself. Give yourself that credit and that respect that you can do it, because being unstoppable is not just going to happen. You have to have faith that it can and that you can be that. Well, that's what I think it can be.
I love that. What's the scariest decision you've made that turned out okay?
This business.
Good job.
Yes, definitely this business.
What do you need less of right now?
Ooh. Calories. What do I need less of? I don't know really. I think I'm in quite a good space right now that I'm happy to take on more. Give me more. I'm ready for life at the moment.
Well, that was my next question. What can you take more of?
What can I take more of?
Or what could you
Everything.
take on more?
Balance is I can take on more balance. And I'm going to caveat that with why I said what I can take less of is because I struggle to create balance for myself from a health perspective. I sometimes go down a rabbit hole, and all founders do that. What I can do more is just give myself a bit more credit, right? Honestly, and be like, chill out. Like, you're okay to chill out for a minute. You don't have to be full on the whole time. Yeah, so I think balance, we all need it.
There's a lady sitting in a little quiet village in England right now. Maybe she's just on the outskirts of that little village and she's feeling alone. She's maybe feeling a little bit stuck. What sort of advice would you give her to come back and design her own life for her?
I would say, look in the mirror, look at where you come from, look at what you've gone through, and give yourself a pat on the back because it wasn't easy. No one in this life has gone through anything easy. And whatever you've gone through should be your strength to get through whatever else is coming to you. So you can just get through it. Like if it's a challenge, or if it's you want to become a better person, look how far you've come already. Look how far you've evolved, or look how you've evolved into who you are today, and take credit for it. Like, don't be so hard on yourself, because no matter who you are, you can become whatever you want to be.
Marms, thank you so much for being really brave today and coming on our show. You've been the absolute perfect guest. I love your story. You are one of the unstoppable 5%. That's why I wanted to bring you on here, and I appreciate your time today. And for anyone else, if Marms' story has resonated with you, or if you know someone that may need to hear this, please forward it to them so they get to listen as well. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next episode.